The only thing that I could identify with Black people is pain, trauma, abandonment.
What would you say your experience was like when you were, like you say, you were in the system till 21? In a whole, what was your experience, and did it affect your trust in people?
It definitely affected how I trust people, or how I choose to trust people, or if I can even trust people. So they don't know that a bad environment is a bad environment. They just know that that's their environment. I was in 11th grade and I just wanted to be a teenager, and I got caught with a bottle of alcohol. Jail for me was like,
what's your perspective? Welcome to Perspectives Unfiltered, where we unpack real life, real stories, and real healing. I am your host, LaShante, and today I have a beautiful co-host with me. I am going to let her introduce herself.
hello guys, my name is Bethany Duncan.
All right, Bethany Duncan. Thank you for coming through, Bethany Duncan. So, y'all, today the story is called They Wrote Her Off. So she wrote a new chapter. Y'all, I think this is something that is going to be really life-changing and eye-opening for a lot of people. So y'all know that, of course, y'all are family. Come in, have a seat, and let's get into it. Okay, Miss Bethany, let's start off from the beginning. Where were you born and raised?
Okay, so I am originally from Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And I lived there until I was about 8 years old. I was raised in the Bankhead area. And like in the midst of all that, I've also lived in other places in those 8 years. But originally, I'm from Atlanta.
Okay, like originally, like born and raised there.
Born and raised.
That's what's
for about
up.
8 years, yeah.
Really? And you came to little old this little city.
I came to Virginia.
Okay, so what was your childhood like growing up?
So my childhood was very sporadic.
Okay.
It was very, I won't say chaotic, but I will say it was like all over the place.
Okay.
Definitely lack of stability. Lack of like a strong, consistent foundation. Being that I was raised in the environment that I was raised in, and I had like 13 siblings.
Wow.
We were like, my parents just, the religion that they followed led them to getting into a lot of trouble with the law, with the police and stuff like that. So I've lived in New Mexico. I've lived in Savannah, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. I've lived in Alabama. I've lived in Colorado. All within those 8 years. Just, following my parents and whatever they had to do or what they felt was best for their children.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was very chaotic, very unstable, very abusive.
Okay.
I would say in different ways, but I do know that my parents loved me, and I think that they did the best that they knew how. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say, so through all of that, all of the moving and being in different areas and different places, would you say that you had a sense of safety and stability growing up?
What I knew to be safety, yes. At that time.
Got you.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Looking back as an adult, it was not safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you shared to me before cameras were on that you were involved in a cult. What led you into that space, and how did it shape you mentally and emotionally?
Oh, this is always such a complex topic because people either know what a cult is or they don't.
Okay.
And I can give a little run back. In my opinion, I believe a cult is a group of people who were formed under one person, and they develop their own thoughts, beliefs, way of living, way of training.
Okay.
And so being that I was raised in a cult, I think it has shaped me to be very confused as far as religion.
Okay.
And you did ask me, how did I end up in that? So basically my grandfather was the co-founder of it. And so obviously in their minds, they're just starting a church. But the reality of a cult is you are manipulating people who don't have much. You are manipulating people who probably can't think for themselves.
Okay.
And you are feeding off of that in hopes that you continuously bring in members to like grow your own community.
Gotcha.
And under that umbrella can be a lot of sexual abuse, mental, emotional, physical, a lot of manipulation, a lot of brainwashing. And so I think that during that time, my grandfather was just trying to find better. He was married to my grandmother and had 7 children by her, and then he had 7 more. But before he got married again, he had 7 kids on his own because he left his wife. And so I think he just needed stability. He needed, he needed people to help him. He needed someone, a woman for his children.
Right.
And so that's kind of how it like started. And then so my mother being one of the 7 children from his first wife, she kind of grew up she was like one of the first members of the cult. And she grew up, wanting to rebel and be defiant and go out in the world, as they say it, go out into the world or be of the world. And she, developed the life that she did at that time, and she didn't like it. So she came back to the church. And then it's like, as years go on, you just kind of bring people in. And so, yeah, so I'm not really educated exactly on like how it started. I can only speak from what I saw when I was in there. But it's definitely had an awful toll on how I view God sometimes, how I view religion, because you're stuck with this one way of thinking. And then when you go out into the world, in my case, I went out into foster care, and then there's hundreds of ways to believe in God, or hundreds of gods to believe in. So that definitely messed me up as far as religious.
That's funny that you talk about how you look at God, because I was just talking about, I was in my journal and I was journaling about blasphemy. And when I was journaling, in the Bible that I have, it gives you these life application study things, and it was saying basically like it brought up people in the cult, and I was like, that's crazy, because I have her coming this weekend. And it was basically saying like how people would not believe in religion or believe in God or will blaspheme God because of cults, or feeling like being neglected by God, or being introduced to so many different versions of God, and you don't know how to really decipher. So like, how do you look at that now that you are out of the, older?
So now that I'm older, as an adult, I can say that honestly, and this is with or without being in a cult, I think when you go through life, no matter what age, you go through things that the tears are about to come.
It's okay. It's okay. I told you this is a safe space. It's okay.
I think you go through things that you don't have a choice but to believe in him. It's like you can have your doubts, and then you wake up one day and you're like, I ate yesterday and I didn't have nothing to pay for no food,
Yeah.
Or I had a roof over my head last night and I didn't even own a house. I didn't even have an apartment to my name. It's things that happen, and you're like, you look back and you're like, there's no way God's not real. So yes, I think as an adult, my mindset has shifted on its own based off of experience. I had to go out into the world. I had to sin. I had to make mistakes. I had to hurt people. I had to, do things that I did not want to do, to realize like somebody is keeping you up. And it's so crazy we're on the subject, because like I've been through my own, even as an adult and learning and stuff, I still go through things and do things I don't need to do. But like, I was just like wondering, like, how am I still here? Like, how am I still floating? How am I still alive? How's my child okay? And literally it just came to my mind, like, grace and mercy.
Hello.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's grace and mercy.
That's all.
Because there's so many times that I could have been like, you are not going to learn.
Yeah.
But he knew that I was going to learn. And so he gave me grace and mercy. So it's really grace and mercy for real that just shows me like, there's no way my God isn't real.
And I think people have to realize too, experience is the best teacher. And I feel like people have to understand too that God everything that happens, God does it for a reason. And there's somebody that's out there that's there is a girl that's out here that's 13 or 14 that is going to come across this and see what you're talking about. And she's going to know like, okay, so there is a God. Regardless of how bad this situation is right now, something's going to turn around and come from this. So I think it's just wonderful. Like, I love this. I love it. I love it. So, how did you end up getting out of the cult? Was it just like growth or just?
So I want to say, and it's so crazy because I'm like, I remember dates so well. I was 8 years old, and it was about November. It was like November, of 2007, and I had woke up one night, and my parents were not home. And I wasn't even in my home. I was in like one of the church members' homes, and I had no clue where my parents were. And later down the road, I found out that they had moved here to Virginia from Atlanta. I didn't know exactly why, but me catching on growing up, I'm not dumb. I figured it had something to do with legal reasons.
Right.
So, once I realized they weren't home, I kind of asked questions here and there. Well, I found out they moved here. And then 3 months later, me and, I want to say 5 of my other siblings, mind you, I have 13. So 5 of them moved in with my parents. So like 3 months later, we moved from Georgia to Virginia with them. And
Okay.
I'll never forget the street. It was Y Street in Lynchburg. And it was like this big white house, but it was an apartment in it.
Okay.
And um that's how they got here. So they were basically evading the police for whatever reason.
Okay.
And then eventually they had 6 of their children move. And then a month after that, I'll say 2 months after that, the SWAT team came. Um, and it was just a lot of legal reasons. Like I said, like when you're in a cult, you kind of don't really follow the rules of society. You kind of make up your own stuff, and it always clashes with what society is telling you to do, what that judge is telling you to do. So they just always were in some type of trouble with that. But it ended when the SWAT team came. And I was 8 years old, and I'll never forget my first foster home was in Madison Heights, and then it just all rolled into a big ball after that.
Mm. So I know you said like legal reasons. So were y'all going to like public school or y'all weren't going to school?
So we weren't going to school. I didn't go
Okay.
to public school until I went to foster care.
Okay, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. And so that was around like 8 or 9 years
Hmm.
old. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I know you said you went to foster care. What was your life like in foster care, even during and after?
Oh, girl, my life was all over the place in foster care. So I think in total I've been in about 13 different homes.
Mm.
And the first one was really like a cultural shock because my whole life I had been around nothing but black people. And so it was a white family. But I loved them so much, and I just never understood why I never saw people that looked like them.
Okay.
And so it was just very much so like a cultural shock, but being young, you love people very fast, especially if they're taking care of you. So I loved them so fast. And then some of my siblings were like, when you get into the system and stuff and they have other kids, some of the kids just don't collide, or attitudes might not work out, or behavioral issues. So we got separated. And it was me and my 2 older sisters. I had 2 younger brothers and 1 younger sister. And so they kind of like separated us a little bit. And then eventually they found a home where there was a family that could take all of us.
Oh, good.
So one of the mothers took me and 2 of my sisters, and then one of the sisters or one of the daughters of that mother took my other siblings. That was my second home. And I feel like that was probably where I felt like I had a family. Like I accepted that I wasn't going to see my parents. And so that's when I was like, okay, this is my family. Well, then things happened again. And so we went to the next foster home, and then the next and the next. And I think I started turning towards like turning away from like
Take your time. Take your time.
um I think like towards my 5th or 6th foster home, my mindset shifted from I'm looking for a family to like I just want to survive.
Yeah.
And so looking back, and it's so crazy because I thought I healed from this stuff.
Healing is ongoing. I don't know why you think that. It's okay. What you're doing right now is
It's healing. It does feel good to talk about it.
Yeah, it's
It does.
healing. You're talking about it, and you don't realize how many other younger people or people that are our age or my age or older that has dealt with things like this and are scared to talk about it or don't want to talk about it or
Yeah.
don't feel safe to talk about it because of whatever or how people may feel about this, regardless of who comes out of this story, whether it's your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers. This is your story to tell.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell your story.
Yeah.
How you experienced it is how you experienced it. Nobody can come and tell you, oh, this is not how it happened.
Yeah.
You remember how it happened very vividly.
Yeah.
So this is your story to tell, and that's healing all in itself.
Yeah, it does feel good.
Yeah.
To tell it. But yeah, so I think towards like my 5th or 6th foster home, I was just like, this is not working. Like, I don't know if it's a me thing, if it's a them thing. I don't know if I'm developing issues within myself that no one can identify, but something wasn't going right. And I just shifted from, okay, I don't want a family anymore. I just want to survive. And so I think like my 7th or 8th foster home was white people, and it was always black people up until that one. And so sadly, my mindset shifted from like, okay, well, these people are going to treat me good because like they have this and they have that and their life looks like this. And so that also was a huge like cultural mashup almost, because it's like I'm used to living this way, but then when I get with these people that I'm not used to, they're showing me a good lifestyle, they're showing me a positive lifestyle, and so it kind of made me resent my own people.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that because we as a whole are such a beautiful culture, but it almost made me resent us because the only thing that I could identify with Black people is pain, trauma, abandonment. So it's like, okay, I don't even like y'all no more. And so I think my last foster home was finally a Black home, and it was the 13th home that I had been in. I was graduating high school. And I knew at that time, I'm like, okay, you're going to be an adult. You have to figure this out. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I was tired of foster homes and I wanted to be free. That's what I knew. So once that whole shebang ended with foster homes, I think it was like a roller coaster again after that, for sure.
So wait, did you stay in foster care until you were 18?
I stayed in the system until I was 21.
Gotcha.
A foster home, no, but the system, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. So, what would you say your experience was like when you were, like you say, you were in the system till 21? In a whole, what was your experience, and did it affect your trust in people?
It definitely affected how I trust people, or how I choose to trust people, or if I can even trust people. Yeah. And I will say it's so like a child is so fragile. Their minds are so fragile. So when you like rip them, whether it's a positive or a negative environment, when you rip them from that, it's all they know. So they don't know that a bad environment is a bad environment. They just know that that's their environment. So when I got ripped from everything I knew, you would hope that this child is going to get much better than what they came from. And so expecting that, thinking like, okay, well, my parents couldn't do it, so somebody else should be able to. They did what was, I won't even say what was needed. They did what was required. And I think a lot of people in foster homes do that. I think there are people that are genuine, and I think there are people that, for their personal reasons, they adopt or they foster, and I think it's a beautiful thing. But I also think it's a gateway for easy resources, easy money, whatever you need to get to the next month. And so that's a lot of what I saw. Like, a lot of the foster homes I was raised in, like, it was so weird for me to see a lock on the refrigerator. Because, like, why are we putting locks on refrigerators? Now, if you ask them, it's food control. But in the mind of an innocent kid that they just came from a house where they can eat whatever they want, what did I do wrong? Why can't I go in the fridge without having a key? Or they might have homes where they have biological children. And so it's like, you notice where there's favoritism, or it may not be favoritism. It may naturally be, this is my child. This is who I love. I'm getting paid to love you, and I love them by choice. And so they could be like, parents could be like having that battle in their head subconsciously or unknowingly, and they're treating the kid wrong or poorly or less than their biological, and they don't even realize they're doing it.
And I don't think it's really so much I'm getting paid to love you. I'm getting paid to tolerate you more than anything.
Wow.
I think when I watch movies and I hear people talk about the things that you say, love is something that you give free willingly.
Wow, that is true.
So for you to turn around and have a lock on the refrigerator and it be I'm getting paid for this. I'm getting paid to tolerate you for as long as I can, or however long the system sees fit for me to tolerate you.
Tolerate is a great word.
It's not more so love, because love does not hurt. Love does not run void. Love is not any of those things. So to hear you describe like the lock on the refrigerator and, oh, well, their kids can do this, but I can't.
Right.
I watched this guy named Darman, I think, on and I seen when he did like a skit with a black boy sitting at the table with a white foster parent, and her white daughter was able to get ice cream and the little boy wasn't. And he was like, why can't I get ice cream? And she was like, oh, I'm getting paid, whatever. And I think it's really sad that it's people out here that are doing it strictly for the system.
Yeah.
When there's kids out here that really need healthy adults.
Very much
you
so.
know.
Yeah.
And they come from you're already coming from a bad circumstance.
Yep.
So to come from a bad circumstance from the people that by right that are your actual parents, these people bore you, your mother was pregnant with you, she had you, that's where the natural love is supposed to come from. Correct. So to get torn from that and put in a home, why do I have to go through so much more just to be loved as a child?
Yep.
And I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah. And I think all of that plays, like, even down to the innocence of a teenager. Like, I remember one time I got sent off to a group home. Now, I wasn't the best kid. I had my outbursts. I always was doing something at school, but
what you went through.
Look what I went through. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a contribution to whatever I was displaying, whatever behavior was being displayed. There was something going on in the background. And so I remember I was in a foster home and it was going great. And I had my moments, but and I will always say the worst thing that I've ever done while being in foster care is this. And that family sent me to a group home because I was in 11th grade and I just wanted to be a teenager and I got caught with a bottle of alcohol. And I will never forget that because, like, to me, it was so easy for them to give up on me. And in my head, I'm like, all of my peers, when they go home, if they get caught with a bottle of alcohol, they might get their phone taken. Getting kicked out of a house, is insane.
It is. Especially for 11th grade.
Correct.
Now, I'm not saying that it's right to be drinking alcohol in the 11th grade. There is reprimands and repercussions that you have to use in doing that.
Yeah.
But to say, oh, okay, well, this is not my child, let me throw her away back into the system where she came from, is crazy.
It's crazy. And so it was little things like that that contributed to like, okay, if these people are literally taking the time to sign up, you're going through classes, you're going through courses to take care of other people's kids, and they're not doing it right, who do I turn to? Who do I trust? Who do I depend on to love me, to pick me up? So it was just kind of like
this is what builds adults that have all these mental issues, and they have these trust issues, and they have issues with boundaries or falling, or even young girls, they fall hard for the first man that pretends to even love them.
Yeah.
You know, you fall for the first man that actually shows you love and tells you that he loves you and tells you that he's going to protect you when you're used to not coming from that.
Yep.
And so that makes so much sense. And it's really sad. Like people do not take stuff like that into consideration. And it's sad because I as I sit back and I write and I research, I realize that there's a whole lot of girls and boys out here that come from foster care that have the most mental issues.
Yeah.
And you feel like they were probably better off with the parents that they came from.
I seriously still to this day think if they would have left me with my parents, it may not have been straight up success story. I feel like I would not have endured half of the trauma that I went through because yes, I was still going through trauma with my biological parents, but I would not have went through what I went through in foster care. Even aside from whether my parents were living right or wrong, I feel like they were doing the best that they could. Like I would have avoided so many mistakes, so many like failed relationships. I would have had more value for myself, more worth. I would have understood what worth is. Like I had to go through trials and errors and teach myself.
Teach yourself.
Which is still a good thing, but I think I would have avoided a lot of hurt.
And this is the thing that I say about people when they say, oh, I taught myself these things. I feel like it's so important, and some people don't believe in therapy and some do.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you go to therapy and you get the tools that's needed, I think when it comes down to you teaching yourself, when you teach yourself, you only know what you see in the street or movies or what people around you teach you. I feel like it's so important to go to someone who has the professional help. They can give you the tools to apply to your everyday life to figure out what it is you need to do as a person.
Yeah.
I think you cannot teach yourself because it's hard to teach yourself communication skills.
It's
hard to teach yourself how to actually abide and be just a sensible person. I think that there's characteristics that you have to work through that you just can't teach yourself.
Correct.
And so I think that's why it's so important to go to therapy, because I mean, I understand going to a complete stranger and telling them all of your business, but that's the whole thing. You have somebody that's on the outside looking in that can tell you, okay, this is what I see in you, and these are the tools that I can give you to help you.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important not only to just go to therapy, but to apply it to your life, whatever you learn.
Yep.
So I feel that. So I know you have a daughter. You're a mommy.
Yes, I'm a mommy.
And I know your daughter was taken from you by the system.
Yes.
If you're open to sharing,
of course.
What was your experience like emotionally and all around with that?
So in a way, she was taken by the system.
Okay.
During that time, I was already in legal trouble in Harrisonburg. I was actually attending school in Harrisonburg at Eastern Mennonite. And I had just moved in on an off-campus apartment with someone that I called a friend at that time. And we had our differences. So I was supposed to start that following semester and she was already enrolled. So we had our differences and we ended up falling out, got into a fight. I got in trouble for that. Well, in the midst of that, I had also got into it with my daughter's father. But it wasn't necessarily getting into it. I think that at that point in life, I was so burnt out. Like, I was so drained mentally, emotionally. Mind you, my daughter was exclusively breastfed for a year and a half. So that's around the time that she got taken from me, was when she was a year and 6 months old. So for a year and a half, I wasn't able to work. I was stuck at home all day with a kid. Her father's side did not help. And not even that they should, but he did not help. And so I just felt like I did not have my village. I did not have my support. I had friends who were also trying to build their lives, and they were trying to make sure they could get to the next month.
Yeah.
And so they did what they could. And I think in the midst of that, while also backtracking and thinking like, this whole motherhood thing is new to me. Like, I went from modeling in Atlanta, doing whatever I wanted to do, making so much money on my own dime, to now I am sacrificing everything for this little one. And it was just a complete change. Like, it changed faster than my mind processed it, almost. And so in the midst of that, on top of I'm stuck at home with the kid and no one's helping me, I went crazy. And that's just what happened. I went crazy. And so
when you say crazy, do you mean like postpartum, or?
I think, well, I know now that what I was experiencing was postpartum.
Okay.
During that time, I didn't even know what that was. I had no clue what that. I just knew that the thoughts that were coming in my mind were not safe. They were not normal. They were not me. They just weren't me. And it was scary. And so I think at that time also, like you said, like, I lacked communication skills really bad. So instead of saying, hey, you know, like, I'm extremely burnt out, it would really benefit me if you could take your daughter off of my hands for 3 days, I said, look, nigga, I'm tired of this shit. She's going to get dropped off on this porch, whether someone's home or not. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
And so at that time, I could not properly communicate. And neither did I care to. Because for a year and a half, I've been doing this alone. I can only say, hey, can you help me, so many times before I feel like I'm about to go off on you. And so that's where I was led to. And so it's not making it right. And when I look back, it breaks my heart to know that my mind was where it was, to know that I was so broken and I was so low that that's genuinely how I felt. It breaks my heart.
That doesn't make you a bad mom, baby. I got 4 of them things. That does not make you a bad mom, sugar. Let me tell you something. Do you know, I now have been thankful to have a village with my mom is, you know, with every child that I've had, but that does not make you a bad mom. When you go from having no one in this world to care about but you on a day-to-day, 24/7, 365, and then you come into a situation where you have a child, and then everything you know as life turns because you have to do what you have to do for this child. Postpartum is something.
Yeah.
Postpartum is not something that I have dealt with a lot, but I know friends that have dealt with postpartum. Yeah. And that does not make you a bad mommy.
I needed to hear that.
That does not make you a bad mommy. Saying, hey, before I do something to this child, or if I do something to myself, it's best that I drop her off on your porch, even if don't nobody come for 3 days. I know somebody gonna come to the door.
Yeah. That
does not make you a bad mommy. You have to understand that. I think a lot of people are so hard on themselves when there's nobody but... Look around. Who did you have? You basically just sat here and said you had no one.
Nobody.
You had no one but you. And that's a lot. Not only did you carry a child for 9 months, you went through changes mentally, physically, emotionally, all of the things. You went through all of these changes in your body. Then you had this baby and your whole life has been uprooted.
Yep.
You have to make sacrifices for this child now, sacrifices that you haven't even made for your own self. You yourself can say, okay, well, fuck, I can go 2-3 days without eating, but you can't do that for your baby.
Never.
And then the constant waking up every 2 hours and doing stuff. Baby, this don't make you a bad mommy. And even if she had to go in the system for you to get yourself together, that doesn't make you a bad mommy.
Thank you.
You did what you had to do for the safety of your child. And for what I see on social media, she looks like a happy child to me. And this has happened while she's young.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, all the things that you went through, that has prepared you to become the parent that she doesn't have to heal from.
Yep.
That's the main goal. I don't care if she had to go into the system. Things happen.
Yep.
There are people out here that won't admit that. Things happen.
Yep.
But look where you are now. And so now you have gotten to the place where, guess what? My baby is not going to have to deal with any of the shit that I had to deal with. Yep. Cults, foster care, any of these things. And when she did go into these systems, she was young enough not to understand. So now here I am, and mommy is here, and I'm standing, and I'm grounded, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
That's all that matters.
Yep. That is true.
You are a good mommy.
Thank you.
You did what needed to be done. And that's it, and that's all. Fuck who judging you about what happened. There's plenty of motherfuckers out here right now. They got their kids in the system, don't want them.
Yeah.
Don't want them. Don't want nothing to do with them because they want to go to BB's. Rest in peace. You feel me? I miss BB's. Loaded fries. Need that back. You know what I'm saying? But still, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real, though. Like,
Seriously.
y'all know I'm going to laugh a little bit.
Seriously,
But,
though.
like, no, but, like, for real. They want to go to the yard.
Yes.
They want to go, they boots on the ground. Boots on the ground outside right now. They want to go boots on the ground. They don't want to deal with the kids.
They don't.
You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes I still don't want to deal with mine.
Baby, let me tell you something.
I really don't.
I don't really fool with my kids like that myself. They cool and everything. You know what I'm saying? I still around the house. You know? But I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it. That doesn't make you a bad mom.
Right. Because at the end of the day, we're still going to do what needs to be done.
It's going to get done.
Yep.
It's going to get done. By any means necessary, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's going to get done.
Yep.
So I feel that 100%. Okay. So you were talking about her. Okay. So you were telling to him you're gonna drop him off on the porch. So what led to her getting into this?
So in the midst of that, this man, I was sending all those messages like, I can't stand doing this anymore. I don't like being a mom. And I was saying things that when I look back, I'm like, I cannot believe I said that.
And it's okay.
But that should show everybody where I was mentally.
That's okay.
Seriously.
And it's okay.
And so he took that, somebody that I thought I could trust and confide in. I thought he would see that I'm at my breaking point. He took that and he screenshot it and put it on the internet.
Jesus.
And it went viral. And that was probably the lowest point. Foster care didn't have nothing on that. Me being separated from my parents didn't have nothing on that. Me not having stable relationships with my siblings has nothing on that. That right there was the lowest point of my life. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was like, it's time for me to go heal. It's time for me to go get some help. Mm-hmm. It's time for me to figure out what's going on up here. Because this played a lot in what was going on physically. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so she did, because of that being like publicly aired and going viral, I'm sure dozens of people called DSS, because I would be concerned as well if I saw that. And it led to DSS visiting me. But God is so good that before he even did that, I had already had a family friend who reached out and she said, it seems like you're overwhelmed and we want to help you with Gigi. So I had already set up like, hey, could she stay with you guys for the next week? I'm trying to find a job. I'm trying to get back in therapy. Like, I have to do things to heal, to get better. And literally 2 days before that happened, they took her for me. 2 days later, he posted it on the internet. So my daughter was already with somebody. It just so happened once someone called DSS, they came to me and said, hey, we gotta figure out where your daughter is. I let them know she was at daycare. So they met me at daycare. They wanted to see if she was physically okay, if she was abused or anything. Obviously she was not. And they let me know, look, wherever she is now, that's where she needs to stay. You need to go get you some help. And then right there, it was 2 cops with them. And I'm like, maybe this is just protocol. Maybe they bring police officers with them when they do wellness checks for children. No. They told me my daughter was going to stay with where she was, and then I got arrested due to the things that I had done in Harrisonburg. So it all played out at the same time. But I look at that as like God was always working in the midst, because if my daughter would have been taken from me, she would have went to a foster home. My daughter was already with somebody. And so they was like, these people are good. You can stay here. We never went to the system. Now, were we in the DSS system? Yes. In the court system? Yes. Was she in foster care? Never.
Good.
So I can say that I never made it that far, because that is almost close to impossible to get your kid back.
Gotcha.
Once they go to foster care, it is very hard. Okay. Versus, hey, she's with a family friend. Okay. This is legally who can take care of her. Completely different ballgame.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah. So it just kind of played out at the same time. Me going to jail, her being taken. It just kind of played out at the same time.
That's good. Okay. Yeah. That's good. So I know you mentioned, so you mentioned you got arrested. You were incarcerated. How did jail change you or shape you?
I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, but jail was where I grew a little bit closer to God. Okay. I knew he was real, but I did not take our relationship serious. It was when I was at my rock bottom and I realized I needed help that I was like, okay, it's time for me to lock in with God. And so that's what I did. There was a lot of women in there who reminded me that I was a good mom. There was a lot of women in there who reminded me that I should be grateful for what I have and where I am. Jail for me was like a glimpse of who my parents were.
Gotcha.
And so that to me was like, your whole life you've been rooting, I don't want to be like that.
I don't want to be like that.
And look at you following them. Like their whole situation of losing their kids or whatever, it started with this. Like they had behavioral issues, whatever. They went to jail, whatever. You're following them. And so I had to break that. I had to snap it.
Yeah.
Because I refused to be Sharon and David Duncan. I refuse. So yeah, it changed me for the better. It was very, I always tell people I had fun in there, but that's only because I had people that put money on my books. Like I ate what I wanted to eat. I ate what I wanted to eat. I called my child whenever I wanted to. The people that I wanted to stay in touch with, I did. But there is nothing fun about being away from your child or being in jail. Seriously, as a grown woman, it's nothing cool or fun about that. It was just a little vacation. That's right. I knew I had to get out and actually face the demons and be a mom and be responsible and be accountable. I knew that was coming. Yeah. But for my little short time, it wasn't a bad experience. If anything, it showed me what I needed to do to get back to where I was. Okay. That's exactly what it did.
And that's understandable. I love that. So let's get back into it. What steps did you have to take to get your daughter back when you came home from being in the system?
So the judge asked me to go to therapy. My sweet girl, she asked me to go to therapy. She asked me to enroll in parenting classes. Okay. As well as anger management classes. Okay. She asked me to obtain a vehicle so that I won't have to depend on other people to get to and from. She asked me to obtain a job with full benefits. And she told me when I felt like I was where I needed to be that I could come back and request full custody. And so I think it took me about 10 months to obtain a job and keep it to show for, as well as it took me like about 8 months to get my car. Yeah. So within those 10 months, I got a car, I got my place, I was in therapy. I completed my anger management and my parenting classes. And so, yeah, I did exactly what was needed.
You were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Amen. God is good. So where you are in life right now, do you feel like people actually want to see you heal, or they are addicted to seeing you spiraling in trauma?
I think the people that want the best for anybody, the people that want the best for me, I think they truly want to see me heal. They want to see how far I can go. They want to see the purpose that God has for me, for sure. And then I think there's people out there who hope and pray on a downfall, especially mine. And I feel like they thrive off of me doing bad. Like they are hoping and wishing and waiting up all night long, hoping that something bad happens over here. And I think that's with life. I mean, with life comes good and bad, ups and downs. And so I feel like I can't have an expectation of everybody supporting me and everybody loving me, because that's not reality. Because if we look at Jesus, 9 times out of 10, the people that spoke on him were speaking poorly of him. The people who had things to say about him, they were bad things.
Even people from his own town, people from his own town, from
grow
up as
a
a
child. Since his own table.
His own table.
His own table.
Judas got right up from the table after eating that bread and betrayed him.
And did him like that.
You ain't got to tell me.
So if Jesus, the one who came to save the day, who saved all of us because we couldn't do it ourselves, if he got talked about and ridiculed and spit on and did the way that he was, I have to expect the same for me. Amen. Because who am I compared to Jesus?
Exactly.
Seriously.
I love that analogy. That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah. What's something that you wish people would stop assuming about you?
Lord, I wish that people would stop assuming that I'm just like a hothead and it takes nothing to set me off, or I'm just so in tune to drama. I think as a human, we love to see things go on. We love action. But to initiate drama, that's not who I am as a person. I actually hate confrontation. I try to love everybody. I love everybody. I just can't help it. But I try to be cordial with everyone. But I don't want people to think that I'm someone that looks for drama, or I look for a bad time or a problem, because that's not who I am at all. Okay. I can understand that. As getting to know you here better, I feel like people can assume things, but look what you've been through. I know. It's crazy. Yeah. So last question. If your daughter, the beautiful baby girl, was to listen to this one day, what's one thing or a few you'd want her to know about your fight for her and to live a better life for you both? I want her to know that this world is not fair all the time. It's not nice all the time. And what you give out, you always sometimes won't get back. I want her to know that she has a very hardworking mother, a mother that has sacrificed a lot for her, as well as for myself. she has a mother that is trying to protect her from a very brutal world, a very, very brutal society. And she has a mother that will go to no ends to make sure that she's protected, to make sure she's safe, and to make sure that her well-being is number one on my priority list. I want her to know that, like, we're not going to always get along, and we're going to have our moments where we bicker or we might disagree, but anything that I speak to her or speak over her is always for her well-being.
Amen.
Always for her well-being.
I love that. You hear that, Gigi? You'll be looking at this in a few years, and your mama is talking truth. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming today. I hope you got what you needed. I got
more, girl.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Y'all, this is Bethany. Y'all can go follow her on all of her social medias. I'm going to put them down below. Thank her so much for coming through to Perspectives Unfiltered. If y'all know somebody that needs this, share this with them. Invite them to like, share, and subscribe. My channel is called Perspectives Unfiltered. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a good day. Peace. What's your perspective?